Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Abbate, and you're watching Tank Bangers, a web segment of our Vintage Motocross Q&A show. Thank you for joining me. And we do this every morning, every weekday morning at 9 a.m. On yesterday's show, if you were watching, we had a RM 125 tank in the vise. We were working on it there. And we got a dent out, and we showed you at the end how it was polished, and the repair turned out really, really well. Some other things we went over were, how does this thing sit in the vise? Some techniques and tricks you'd have to use to get it in there. And we showed you that, how we secured it using a ratchet strap. Well, today we've got it turned around and we've got it in a different position, and we're going to work on a little bit of something else. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Vinco. Be sure to visit them online at vinco.com. So, today we're going to look at the side of the tank, the other side, and how it's a bit wavy, and how you can identify the damage and what you're going to have to do in order to, well, first identify it before you can take some type of approach with making the repair. We're going to switch over to that camera right now. And before I do that, that's what I want to tell you. Please comment on where you're watching the show from. Not only your location, wherever it may be in America, but also, are you watching it through my personal page, through Joe Abbate's personal page, or are you watching it from the Vintage Motocross Q&A page? If you watch from the Vintage Motocross Q&A page, I could see your comments. If you don't, well, I can't. And I'd love to see your comments, okay? We had... we had a lot of comments yesterday. I was addressing them as I was doing the show, and that's always fun. Now, let's spin around here for a minute on the other camera, and we'll get a look at the side of this tank. Yeah, we'll get a look at the side of the tank, and we'll figure out what the approach is here on some of these dents. Now, if you look down the side of this tank, I mean, maybe you could see it. It's very, very wavy. It's very wavy. And another thing about Suzuki RM tanks is they're kind of shaped like a Coke bottle. In other words, Coke bottle would be narrower down here, but when they say something has a Coke bottle shape, it's a little bigger at the top here. It comes in and it does, they're a little bigger at the front, but once they get to the sides, like right here, they pretty much go straight back. Elsinore tanks have a little bit of a curve to them, which makes them a little bit different. And it gives you a little bit of a different approach on how to, as always, the first thing you want to do, and I should have done this before the show started, but I was doing something else. Anyway, is you want to get some of the letters off, and I just do this. Because if there's any dents hiding underneath there, and there usually is, you want to make sure they're off. Yes, you can use a heat gun. Yes, you can use a whizzer wheel. You can use 1,000 things. Well, not 1,000 things, but you could use something. I just heat it up a little bit, just enough. It's not going to burn my fingers. And I can get some of these letters off. In fact, I'll get all of them off. Just like that. Just loosen them up a little bit. Generally, I try and do stuff like this before the show begins to save a couple of minutes. But I did something new on Vintage Motocross Q&A this morning, and I'm going to be doing it every morning at 8:55. It is called the Moto Minute. I don't know if anybody caught that this morning. Anyway, it's a nice little 60-second segment of something interesting that happened on this day in motocross. And actually, it's a very historic day in motocross today, June 23rd. 1973 was the first USGP for the 500s. Roger DeCoster Willie Bauer, amongst others, were down there for the first time at the Carlsbad GP. That would, of course, would not be shown on television until several months later when it was on ABC's Wide World of Sport. So you could join us tomorrow there, and you'll get another Moto Minute. Now that I've got that off, and I've got a little glue here. You know what I like to use to get glue off? Not goof off and not any of those things. I like to use this. Amazon. Brake clean. Love this stuff. Great for cleaning parts. Great for getting glue off, grime, anything that's on the side of the tank. Dries quickly and leaves no residue. Okay. All right. I just want to check something out here. Phil Palmer, have a fantastic day, Joe. Well, you do the same, Phil. Hope you can stay with us for a couple of minutes here at our web segment of Vintage Motocross Q&A known as Tank Bangers. Let's get back to the media assets here. That's right. Once again, the show is brought to you by Vinco. Be sure to visit them online at vinco.com. Now, got a waiting section here. I don't want to use something too stiff. A lot of times you will see me use something like this. This board it's pretty stiff. I could use it. I'm probably going to use it in a few minutes, but I don't want to use something quite that stiff. Another one of my standby sanding blocks is this guy. It is very hard, very hard. I could use that here. I probably will at some point this morning. Boy, we got quite a dent right here. But for now, I just want to go over it lightly. So I'm going to go over it just to be able to hit the points where the paint, you'll see it on the paint. You'll see it where, I don't know if you want to call it the high spot yet, or because it may be a high spot, but it's definitely going to expose the low spots. So I'm going to tear off a piece of 320. I'm going to put it on this foam board, little foam board. And we're just going to go over the side of the tank to see if we can. I'm not really going past here because if I have a dent up in here, I'm going to have to go from the front of the tank. From here back, I'll be able to, and I'll be able to get it from there. Now, big dent here, and right around here, it's kind of wavy. So, I think what I'll do now is, now that I've got a good idea where those dents are, one starts there. It's a little bit deeper here than it is back here, but there's obviously a dent there. It's funny, there's a dent right here and then it comes right up. The dent is so shallow. And we're starting to see it a little more. Actually, what I was saying to you was there's a big dent here and it's very shallow and it comes up level here. I'm not so sure it is coming up level here. This could be a dent here that just happens to be deeper than this whole dent back here. Because the paint's wearing away here, here, and here, but not through this section. And I think I do. This is all low, this whole spot. Good here. Remember when I told you the tank comes out a little bit again, I think? Not that I think. It does come out a little bit more at the back. But it's dipping down more through here, especially here, than it should be. In fact, I'm willing to bet if I, well, no. See, when I go across here, always remember to keep your paper clean. See, if I'm going across here and here, obviously it's not hitting in this area, but I just want to test something here. No, didn't take off much more paint. We're low all through here. We're low all through here. Got one on top. And as I said, from here forward, if there is any damage, which doesn't look like there is, I might be able to get this one from the back. This, definitely, I've got a couple little marks. I got another one right here. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to drill a hole in the back of this tank. And the nice thing about a Suzuki tank is I can drill a little higher, so when it sits on the frame, there's even less chance of seeing where the weld will be. A word of caution. And I should have mentioned this, and I should have actually been doing it. If you go to drill down here, like I was back here, and I'm drilling down here, and my face is down here as I'm drilling, a pair of safety glasses would be a good idea. You got those little shards of metal dropping down. Should have had safety glasses on. Granted, my face was above where I was drilling, but it's not a bad idea to have a pair of safety glasses on. All right. I think I'm going in. With the long rod today. Just want to check comments. I don't want to miss anything here from anybody. Bridgewater Restoration is here, and Jeff Kokoski. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I appreciate it. And if there are any comments, Phil Palmer, good morning again. Tim Whitehouse, good morning. From Washington, Bridgewater Restoration. This will give me another way to repair aluminum tanks. Have a 75-400B tank to work on. Yep, this would do it. Or you could send it to me. But the whole purpose of us being here is to give you guys an idea of how to do some of this stuff yourself. No, it's not. It can be costly, but you see the time it takes. I am going to start right here. I'm not going to go out into the middle, start prying up. I'm going to go right here. And to give you an idea. Oh, also, guys, if you could comment on the audio. Is the audio good today? I've been working on the audio and the video quality for the show over the weekend. And I did a couple of tests. I did about 10 tests live on Facebook over the weekend. And I just want to make sure the quality of the sound is good. What I was saying was I'm going to take this guy, and you've seen me use this before. Kind of looks like a golf club. About 2 feet long. Got this little nub on the end. Got my hole drilled in the back. We have an excellent segment every week on our Vintage Motocross Q&A show. Well, all of our segments are good. We've got one that everybody seems to really wait for and love, and that is Did You Know? Jeff Kokoski puts that segment together for us. Did you know? And boy, I'm barely putting pressure on this thing, and it's moving. I'm barely pushing on it. That's how thin these tanks are. That's why you got to be careful with the sanding, careful with the lifting. Very, very thin. I don't know if I would call it flimsy, but yeah, it is sort of flimsy. Another thing that could be a bit challenging here is, as I bow it out from the inside, it wants to go back. Unlike steel, which has sort of a memory. Well, it does have a memory, actually. Steel wants to go back to where it was. Aluminum doesn't want to go back to where it was. It wants to stay where it is, especially when it's thin like this. Now, because of how thin the gauge is of this aluminum, I'm going to approach this with caution and rather fine paper, probably. You know what? I just may go to my finest paper here. See, I can feel already. I'm going to go to my finest paper here, 400. And I'm just going to go across this area that I was just working on. I only went like to the second line. You see where the paint's coming away? It's getting closer to the line. That's where I lifted the aluminum. However, that actually looks pretty good. Okay. Let's continue on creeping up here to the next line, and of course down here. Here's our magnet, gives us an idea. Oh, should give us an idea. There we are. See, now on something like this right here, if I start prying too much here to get this little remaining dent out, it's going to start lifting my repaired area more, and it's going to take us past where we need to be. Yesterday we were talking about hammer on dolly. What did it mean? All it really means is you're going to use a body hammer and you're going to be banging on your tank, and you're going to be banging against something behind it. Okay? Now, I don't really have to approach this right now. I could probably continue on up here and get back to this later. But I'm here with you, and I want to show you, I want to show you every technique I can. So we're going to put that in there with firm pressure. We're not trying to lift it. If we try to lift it, due to the thinness of the gauge of the material, we're going to wind up lifting the area we've already repaired. So we're there. We're firm. We're taking our flat body hammer. Okay. See that? See how much smaller it is now? Yes, I could go back down here and do the same thing again, and you're tapping on it so lightly while you're pushing on it, you may not even take the paint away while you're doing that. But when you go to sand, you'll see exactly how you've created a level plane when you start to sand it. This all feels very nice back here. Got a dip right here where it ended. Let's get back on that. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer them. I'll answer them today if I can, or we'll have them on tomorrow's show. Also, I'm interested in the audio, guys. The audio sound good? Got a nice, rich sound to it as opposed to a tinny sound like we're inside of a shed. Should be pretty good. Your Uncle Joe went for a few bucks on the right equipment. You can't believe, I don't know if you can see how much this thing is flexing. And again, I'm only trying to go between the lines. I don't want to go too much further. Then you get a high spot and you have a bunch of low spots around it. As I mentioned earlier in the show, our sponsor for today's segment is Vinco.com. Be sure to visit them online. Kurt Leverton and Vinco have done so much for the vintage movement over the past 4 or 5 years. It's absolutely incredible, especially on the Spanish bikes. We got a lot of Osa stuff there, Bultaco stuff, Montesa, but a lot of stuff for the Japanese bikes as well. They've just released their KX450 piston for the 1974 KX450. Bigpro.com. Over 1,000 products in their catalog. All right, let me go check on comments for a second. I don't know if anybody said anything about the audio. I'd like to know. Garcia watching, have 76YZ 125 tank that needs work. John Garcia, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. Send me a message on my personal page at Joe Abbate or on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. How about I do this? On the Vintage Motocross Q&A page is my phone number, 925-784-2195. It's on there. You can use that text messaging system to send me pictures of the tank. I'll give you an estimate, and we can chat about it more there. Dr. Schwagens checking in. Dr. Schwagens, guten Abend. Nice to see you. Audio is great. Thank you, TV. Thanks for coming back today. Okay. Let's get back to that side of the tank, okay? Oh, also, see, I don't see any comments, but I see some likes, which is nice. John Nostro, Dakota Brittany Gardner, Mike Moto Goose. Thank you guys for being here. All right. Let's get back over to the side of this tank. Continue on. We're back to prime. If you just joined us, this is the tool I'm using inside that tank, about the length of a golf club. Got this little nodule on the end. We use the magnet, tells us where it is. All right. You know what? Let's see if I can. Let's see what kind of a view you got. See if you could see how much that thing's flexing. And I'm barely putting any pressure on this rod. Anyway. I'm trying to follow this line right down here. So you got an idea of how we approach this. Took all the stickers off. I went over it lightly with some 320 or 400. It exposed where the low spots were. At that point, I realized I had a big low spot all through here. Actually, it went back to here. I followed up with this longboard with a little coarser grit, 180, exposed the whole low spot. Then I chose to take it about a ½ inch at a time, maybe not even. Drew my lines like this. And I concentrate on those lines going up and down. Because if I go right toward here to the middle to where the largest part of the dent is, I'm going to pop it up. It's going to stay up like this big. And then I'm going to have all this around here. Now when I go to get all that, this is going to come up. And it becomes a big event of me chasing my tail. So, it's a game of patience and skill, not speed and strength. I mean, could I go a little further here? You guys got the gist of this, I think. I think what I want to try, if the access hole will allow, I'm going to lift up that camera a bit. First of all, let me make sure I can get it through this hole before I say I'm going to show you how to do something that I can't show you how to do. Oh, but I can. The thing I'm a little concerned with is me prying on this and this thing being in the vise this way. I don't want this whole thing to come out of here, and I don't know how much more. We should be okay. I might even put a little, well, let me not do anything yet. Let me see if I can give you guys a better look at what's going on. Oh yeah, I guess you can see that pretty well, huh? I just want to cover one thing again. I guess I could just use this thing. You want to make as few holes as possible. See, here's one here. I chose that area because I had dents on the front of the tank over here. I had some down the side. Before you drill your hole, before you go to attack that dent with whatever tool you're going to be using, think before you drill. You want to drill as few holes as possible. My welder charges me $40 a hole to drill it. That's a nominal fee. Nothing wrong with that. You want to drill one hole and pay 40. You want to drill 3 and pay 120. Think before you drill. That thing should be call before you dig outside. 1-800-DIG, call, something like that. Think before you drill. All right. And I am going to approach that dent in just 1 second. Robert Charles Leides. Blessings to you today, Charles. All right, let's get back to this angle of the tank. It's coming up. Coming up little by little. Just so you have a better visual. Let me do this. And once again, I mentioned it yesterday. Customer calls me, sends me pictures, sends me a pictures of the big dent. That's it, Joe. It's only got one dent. No, it doesn't have one dent. You didn't see this one. Oh, it has two? Yeah. Guess what, guys? I don't know if you could. Here. It was the big one. And he said there was this one over here, too. Oh, I didn't see the little one over there. No. And you know what else you didn't see? You didn't see that one either. Nothing against the customer. Nobody is an expert. They just know the tank has a dent. And they usually see the ones that are more than obvious. But they miss the small ones, and those take me time too. Anyway, let's get back to lifting up this section right here. I mean, as tempted as I am to get the map gas on it, as tempted as I am to do that, here, you want this? You put the thing inside the box? I'll put it in. I'll catch it when he comes. Okay. Yeah, as tempted as I am to put the heat on this to help me pick it up, it's just so thin. I'd rather struggle with it just for a couple of minutes more and not create a bubble of a high spot in it. Whoop. Give me a second here, guys. I might want to try something that'll save us. Save me a little embarrassment. Save me a little embarrassment, and it'll give you a little tip too. I'm going to back this camera up just a little bit like this. Do this and do this. As I'm prying back here, the front of the tank wants to come up. Can only put so much pressure on it, and the vise doesn't matter. I've got a bar 2 feet long back here, and I'm prying on it, and it wants to come up. I've got it secured from the other side with a ratchet strap. Now, what am I going to do to prevent this from going this way? And you might run across this. You might run across this in your repairs, and you may have to do this. So I'm going to take another regular old tie down, put it on the bench. Put it over here like this. Just get it underneath here a little bit. A little more torque on it. Okay. All right, and that should keep us from the tilt. I'm working on it, guys. You know, maybe I'll get a dolly next. I only got good sound and good video after 5 years. Anyway, enough about me. All right, that thing's on there pretty securely now. We're gonna go back in with the bar, with the rod. Back in here. That's another thing too. When you do something like this, if you have these nylon straps, you got to be careful if you're going to use heat next to them. In our painted area, getting a little smaller as we're raising the dent. I am tempted to. There's another tip for you, really, if you wanted to do this. I could have done it. I should have done it. I got a little bit more experience than you. I can see where the tip of the tool is much clearer where there isn't any paint. In fact, and I mentioned it yesterday, if this area were polished, I'd really be able to see it. I get by. I've got some experience. I don't have to really do that. But if you wanted to do it, take all the paint off first of where the dent is. For lack of a better word, for dramatic purposes, me leaving the paint on lets you see the damaged area getting smaller as we're going through the show. But you're not doing a show, you just want a good repair. Take all the paint away from the area that needs to be repaired first. Need a little drink, guys? Anybody got a comment? Can you use a suction cup on an RM400 tank? Audio is great. Thanks. Can I use a suction cup? I've heard of guys using suction cups on tanks. Yeah, I have. Give me a second here. And it's a good question, too. The thing you got to keep in mind is when you see those guys doing it on car panels and stuff like that, the panel is straighter, doesn't have that much of a curve to it. Automobile car panel, very thin. An RM tank, about 1 millimeter, a little tougher. The thing is, can you get the suction cup to stick? There are people showing you videos every day of them really taking cars that, instead of replacing quarter panels and fenders and doors, they're actually using a glue. They're gluing a cup to the door, sticks. They're putting all kinds of pressure on it to pull it out. I can't say that, no, that won't work. Are you going to go buy that tool to fix your tank? I don't think you are. I'm sure it's thousands of dollars. On the top, it might work. I've seen guys do it on street buy tanks that are bigger and flatter. On a flat section, it might. On a curved section, I don't know. On a compound curve section where it's curved this way and this way, you'll get it to stick, but not a suction cup. You'll do it with a glue cup. Those cups or plates that you glue on. You're not going to get it with a suction cup. And even if you did get lucky and you pulled it out a certain amount, it's never going to be perfect. Never. You're still going to need body filler. And if you're going to need body filler, well, you might as well just do what I'm doing. get it out as close as you can, then fill it. You could do that. Or if you take the time and you have the patience, you make a complete repair, nobody fill it. Good question. TV. Someday I will learn who the mysterious TV is. He's on just about every day. All right, let's get back to this. I'm sweating like Barry White out here. I'm going around and through the middle. All right. I think I got some movement out of it this time. One or two more times and I'll have it, I think. You guys, if you plan on trying this, maybe go buy yourself an old RM tank or an old CR tank. I mean an old one that is probably or irreparable. Take it home, drill some holes in it, buy some sandpaper, get yourself a bottle of MAP gas, have at it before you do it on one of your race bike tanks or maybe even a show bike tank. Get a feel for it. I had to do it. I was very skeptical in the beginning. I didn't want to burn through. How much can I push on it? How much can I bang on it? How thin is it? How thick? The only way you're going to really know is to try it, and you'll get an idea. Worst you could do is call me, send me a message, send me a text, ask me a question. I'd be happy to help you out. We're going on just about an hour right now. I'm going to run a little longer today. I want to finish this up for you. I want to finish it up for me. Don't forget tomorrow night, live vintage motocross Q&A. Got a beautiful Mako in the Moto Showcase. Got some great videos. What's it worth? Next time, try this. All that and a whole lot more on tomorrow night's live episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. Being a little contrary, but we're going to get it. See, what I'm trying not to do is, I know exactly where the tool is on that paint. I know where it is. If I put too much pressure on there, this is going to it's going to raise up all around here. I'm trying to avoid that. You know, I got a fan in here. God forbid I should turn it on. See how there's another one down here? You crop up when you're going. They crop up. All right, we got it. See, once I, quote unquote, polished it up with the 400, I was able to see where it was lifting. Got a clearer idea of where I was. I'm going in one more time. One more time. I went from 180, 240, 320 down to 400. Okay. You're welcome, TV. Thank you. All right. So you learned about finding the dent. How big is it? How far does it go? Is there a dent within a dent? Is there a bigger dent and a smaller dent next to it? The importance of sanding with fine paper first, seeing if you have high spots, seeing if you have low spots. Not going with coarse paper too soon. The tank is very thin. We also wanted to drill just one hole. One hole for this whole side, well, up to here anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have any damage in the front. And I was able to get this, and I think I'll be able to get that little spot on top that we have. Okay? Oh yeah, this was yesterday's repair. Nice. This customer, Dave Trevison, he was able to watch his repair being made live on YouTube. He's not on Facebook, but he's on YouTube, and he was watching us live. So that was fun. Today's show was brought to you by Vinco. Be sure to visit them online at vinco.com. They've got a lot of different parts there for a lot of different bikes, including top-end kits for just about everything, including the 1974 Kawasaki KX450. They have a standard, first over, and second over for the KX450. Vinco.com. I'm Joe Abbate. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. on Tank Bangers. And if you get in there a little bit early onto the Vintage Motocross Q&A page, you'll hear about our Moto Minute, something we're going to be doing every day now. What happened in motocross history? The Moto Minute every day at 8:55, just before the show. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining me. Tell a friend about Tank Bangers.